Good evening, everybody. I'm Pınar Kalaycı from Gazi University. I'm the moderator of tonight. Tonight, we are doing the second meeting of International Design Studio exhibitions and webinars. And tonight, we are hosting Professor Aysu Akalın from Gazi University and Professor Eliana Cangelli from University of Sapienza in Rome. Aysu Akalın will present first. As far as I know, we are going to open one exhibition, which is Aysu Akalın's studios exhibition, and Eliana will open her exhibition later. So let's start with Professor Aysu Akalın. She's going to present it with Ayşegül İnce. Ayşegül İnce is her assistant. So stage is yours.
I would like to thank Professor Pınar Kalaycı for giving us the opportunity to talk about the education system in our atelier at Gazi University. Okay, thank you all joining us. So it's all about to convey the methodological details of contextual reasoning, as you can see from the slide. Context is a crucial concept, despite the frequent ambiguity around its use. For us, architecture cannot detach itself from its context, and helping students feel the context should be our primary concern as educators. The reasoning of place and subject, we call it contextual reasoning, place and subject dialogue from a mimetic point of view has been central to our work in the studio. As Hilde Heinen argues, mimesis refers to certain patterns of similarity or resemblance. It has to do with copying, yes, copying, but it's a specific form of copying, which implies a critical moment, which is important, critical moment. The aim in design should be to reach that critical moment by seeing and expressing the difference between the user's feelings, for instance, the feelings of the user in a nursing home or in a place of worship. In terms of the mimetic approach, a design can be context related. We call this within domain sources, or it has its own context, other domain sources, we call this. As you can see here, both have tangible and intangible features. All the students in the atelier are divided into equal groups that each group include second, third, and fourth years. During the semester, the instructors change the groups, and in this way, it is ensured that each instructor gets to know the whole class. In some semesters, a place and subject with rich tangible and intangible, concrete and abstract, subjective values might be selected. For instance, in Çanakkale, a city that has impressed everyone with its rich historical past, students design the Peace Museum in line with the request of the mayor. In Milan, each student was free to design the center they felt, fashion center, center for the street performance, etc. Some semesters, however, only the tangible and intangible values of the place were in the foreground. We designed a visitor center, simple visitor center in Ayazonay ancient city in Turkey. Please visit our exhibition to see the examples in detail. The method we apply in face-to-face training have changed during the pandemic. And in the online training, the creativity inducing the spirit of vertical design studio could not be preserved much. And the structure of the education turned into horizontal. Experience is the main keyword in this contextual thinking of us. Edward Ralph defines different levels of experience, calling that insideness. Sense of place in the design process was critical for us in our pre-pandemic studio works. During the pandemic, the education is without body sensory experience. This time, the insideness is not even shallow, we say. It is on the surface, and we call this superficial level of insideness. Since the project environment and its surroundings are a new residential area, there is no historical cultural background, and intangible values of the place are almost non-existent. The students were asked to design a modern mosque. The goal of each student was to reach the critical moment by expressing the spiritual feelings of the user in a place of worship. External support was received in the first 2 weeks. Afterwards, the students were asked to design a mosque mass to cover minimum 1/3 or maximum half of the land. Later, very few examples of modern mosque, including apply and propose competition projects, were introduced. Then, students were asked to bring their favorite modern mosque designs and ask redesign another mosque mask on the given land. Other domain sources were adopted as a method to make them feel the context of the subject, as well as the sharp sloping context of the site. And in the next step, the students were asked to bring their domain sources, taking into account the context of the subject and the place. In the second month of the semester, parameters such as material, light, and scale provided by the digital environment were introduced. The information belonging to the architectural reference is associated with a new story in its new context. We encountered 3 different attitudes of students: inspired interpretation, imitation by partial interpretation, and exact imitation. Okay, inspired interpretation. In this group, the students who could research, perceive, and feel were inspired by the images they found and interpreted them instead of imitating exactly. They can be described as a self-confident creative group capable of interpreting the spiritual values of the subject very intensely. If you look at the students with partial interpretations, some of them were impressed by the domains that we have shown them, but some pick up the ones from the semester presentations, and they try to improve their projects by partially interpreting what they have and imitate them to some extent. The students of exact imitation group were generally those who cannot fully feel and visualize the context. These students had a basic problem of perceiving, which prevented them from feeling the context. But I have to say they were all hardworking. According to some theoreticians, repetitive designs are an activity that encourages creativity and does not obstruct originality. We believe that mimesis can help novices, pre-architects, or you might say, to significantly improve their performance, and thinking through mimesis enables them to explain and to understand an unknown situation in reference to a familiar one. The challenge here, however, is to help the student empathically experience the space through mimesis in a situation where insideness is at a superficial level. When the definition of mimesis no longer coincides with faithful copying, but rather refers more to affinities or correspondences, associations, we believe there should not be even a single reason to exclude architecture from the field of mimesis.
So thank you again, Pinar, and the Gazi University for inviting me to participate in this cycle of international webinars. We have a dual organization in Italy. One is the 3 years of study for the baccalaureate degree, plus 2 years to obtain a master's degree. But in addition, in Italy, we have a 5 years single cycle master's degree in architecture. I am a professor in environmental and technological design. All the design studio I have held are characterized by an environmental approach to the architectural project, both in relation to bioclimatics and in relation to the materials and technologies used for their construction. In my design studio, I address the theme of housing. It typically becomes the protagonist of the contemporary debate, after periods of absence and neglect. Projects are always related to services and residences, towers, lines, townhouses, and villas. My design studio projects are mainly related to public housing and social housing. The field I have been working on recent years is the redevelopment of the public residential heritage. The study area is the city of Rome. All the projects have been developed involving stakeholders and the municipality of Rome with the aim of following students to deal with real cases. These are the issues addressed over the years, and it is a project of a line type building intended for social housing in Collina Moratella, that is the name of the district. In the synthesis laboratory in environmental design, the theme was Tagliatella Informal City. It is a regeneration project of an authorized neighborhood in the northwest suburb of Rome. In the first semester, the students, divided into groups of 6 components, drafted an urban and environmental master plan. And in the second semester, the students individually designed a low-tech single-family or 2-family residence. Here are some images of the project idea. In the technological design laboratory, in the 3rd year, the theme was renewing Casale Caletto until 2019. It is an intervention of densification and new construction for the recovery of a public district, for the regeneration of this small public housing district. Students have designed a new line type buildings for housing and services. In the last year, again in the technological design laboratory, the theme was TBM Power Tower. Students attending the design studio in the 3rd year still have to attend other 2 years before graduating. The design studio addresses the issues of the housing emergency, focusing on the recovery, transformation, and new construction of the public residential heritage of the Roman suburbs. The students' work will be oriented towards deepening social, technological, and environmental solutions. This year, we will work on the recovery of the residential towers in the public district of Tor Bella Monaca in the eastern suburbs of Rome. It is a neighborhood with a severe social disease. The course is organized in such a way as to create a continuous exchange between theoretical and practical aspects relating to the design. At the beginning of the course, we visit the project area together with the students and we discuss with the citizens. The exercise consists in the study and critical analysis of a case study assigned by me and consistent with the theme of the year. The students redesign the case study. The development of the project in the classroom engages students for the following months, working in groups of 3. The design studio deals with the general issue of recovering and regenerating urban peripheries. These urban areas constitute a vast and highly degraded public real estate asset. This is a view of the project area. The students develop a project for the recovery of the towers indicated by the arrow. This is the area original plan. And these are the images of the buildings at the time of construction. And these are the buildings today. Students identify those building elements that they cannot change in the retrofit project. These are current floor plans of the building on we work. And here, some planimetric solution proposed by students. The facade, students work on the envelope, adding or subtracting spaces from the building. And this is the student work on the typology of the housing units. The outdoor spaces have become more important after the experience of the pandemic. We verified the technological solution up to the tile scale, and on the left are the bioclimatic diagrams. The design studio in technological design at the 3rd year aims to develop in students the capacity to control the project from the preliminary phase to the selection of construction solution. At the end of the design studio, the students must understand the correlation between structure and form, between technological choices and aesthetic of architecture. The design studio deals with the recovery of large public housing complexes realized between the 70s and 90s in the major European cities. We believe that the regeneration of the suburbs is strategic in the coming years. So the great architectural topic is the recovery of modern public residential architecture. The experience of the design studio constitutes a fundamental moment in the education of the architect. I think that with other international experience, we would all be able to improve. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I think both presentations were very valuable. The aim of this meeting is showing that, proving that we can be walking in different roads, and we hope all the roads reach to good quality, challenging, successful architecture.